Schalke 04. Oh, they've done it! Steven Tirada, an instant hero! Can you believe it? Plenty attacking! No! The comeback is complete! A stunning second half from Schalke!
Blau und Weiß sein Leben lang. Herzlich willkommen zurück auf Schalke America. I'm your host, Richard Carmen. Joining me as always on this Misery Blues Monday podcast, Jack Mangan. Jack, how we doing?
False. It is a victory Monday, and it is a victory Monday because not a single Schalke player scored against us.
That's true.
Despite 6 goals coming in. So I think that's a win in my book. That's one for the trophy case.
And Dortmund didn't win the title this weekend, so that's another win.
There's that as well.
All right, I like it.
Happy to be of service in that regard. No, listen, man. Like, I'm not bothered by that result at all. We talked in the lead up to this one. This is what we expected. You know, I expected like it probably at least 4-0. I'm not happy about 6-0, but like, you know, this is very much within what I expected this game to be. I mean, look, you're you're talking about, you know, Kingsley Coman and Cancelo going to work against Yoshida. I mean, you know, it's not, you know, Keenan Karam on one of the goals. This is not. I'm sorry. The gulf in the quality of these squads, it's ridiculous. So, this is not a game we should win. Honestly, I'm surprised after, you know, the way that we've played against like Bayern and Leipzig this season. I'm surprised that we've played Dortmund as close as we have. Maybe that's the magic of the derby. But anyway, I'm fine. How are you doing? This result is what I expected.
Yeah, I'm good. I mean, I hate Bayern, but not necessarily Bayern. I hate the way we play against Bayern. And
I hate Thomas Muller is who I hate.
I just wish like we would have played better. I like you. I figured we're gonna lose 6-0. Not the forecast that I was projecting, but I figured we would lose. And the reason I don't like losing like this is because what that does mentally for us for the remaining 2 games. We got 2 big games on the horizon, and having a 6-0 punch in the mouth does not help things. Now on the flip side, the last time we lost by this excessive of a margin, we kind of bounced back really quickly, really well. That was against Union Berlin, where we lost 6-1, I think, 6-1 in that game. We came back and played pretty well the next game with a draw. A draw would be okay this next game, but ideally we need a win against Frankfurt. Some results went our way this weekend. You know, you mentioned already some positives for why this could be a victory Monday. Other reasons, when my thing moved around, but some other results that went our way. I guess you could say Leipzig went our way. Not that Werder Bremen's anywhere near us. It's just that Leipzig maybe locked up their Champions League spot, so maybe they won't play all their best 11. We'll see. Let's see. Bochum, that didn't go our way. Bochum won 3-2 against Augsburg. Ridiculous Augsburg. Hertha officially eliminated, I think, right? They lost 5-2 to Cologne. Hoffenheim lost to Wolfsburg 2-1. And if you wonder what Frankfurt did, they won 3-0 against Mainz. So, that's to look forward to this weekend. But we're still in it. We're in the playoff spot in the relegation spot at the moment. 1 point, I think, above Stuttgart because they drew this weekend. And then we're like 10 points ahead of Hertha or whatever it is. But we're within, if we got 3 points, we'd leapfrog 2 teams. So, I mean, anything can happen.
I think the only thing I would take issue with what you said is that, I mean, for me, the Frankfurt game is a must win. And I know mathematically it's not a must win. There's so many teams in place. I mean, technically, even Werder Bremen up in 12th place are within touching distance, within 2 results. You know, if for some reason they were to lose 2 games, I mean, they're at 35, Schalke's at 30. You could potentially jump them. That's not going to happen naturally. But I'm saying, you know, so there's a lot of teams in play here. But I mean, ultimately, I don't expect Leipzig that game to be much different from the Bayern game. It's possible it will be. I don't expect it to be. Now, that's not saying that I expect Frankfurt to be some sort of great game either. Frankfurt's not been in particularly great form over the past, you know, 7-8 games or so. Overall, I think, you know, if there's an opponent you're targeting in the final 3 games, it's certainly Frankfurt. I think we have to pick up 3 points. That doesn't guarantee that we're not ultimately in like 16th and in the play-in game. But I think we need at least 3 points to kind of probably feel pretty comfortable about not being in the bottom 2. That could still happen as well. But you look at like Stuttgart's schedule, for example, the final 2 games of the season, they're playing Mainz. Mainz is kind of on a slide right now. They lost to us. They just lost this past week to Frankfurt, who we're playing next week. Yeah. But, you know, that Mainz game is not going to be easy for them. However, they're also playing Hoffenheim the final week of the season, which could be winnable for them.
Ooh.
So there's easily a scenario where they could, they're 1 point behind us right now. They could draw Mainz. They could get a result to get Mainz. They could get 3 points against Hoffenheim. They could have 4 points on the table, potentially, maybe more.
Yeah.
For me, the Frankfurt game's a must win. And if we don't, I mean, maybe a draw helps us somehow. And if we tie with Bochum and Bochum don't do anything. But for me, I think it's good night unless that's 3 points next week.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I think the Leipzig result is going to be probably similar to what we see against Bayern. So really, it's a must win against Frankfurt. Anything we get against Leipzig will just be icing on the cake if we get anything out of that game. So yeah, we have to focus full on that. And what doesn't help us is that Marius Bulter picked up his fifth yellow the season or fifth in a row or whatever, and so he's out for that game. Our best player by far is not going to be in the game, and somebody's going to have to step up. I don't know where we're going to get this from, but yeah, I don't know if Raul's available or Huntelaar, but we're certainly going to need somebody to step up big time, and it's a must-win, as you said. And so have to get a result just to almost guarantee we're not in the bottom two. I think a relegation playoff spot is at least giving us a chance against Hamburg or whomever's in third place. But, man, we cannot afford 2 losses in a row here to end the season.
Yeah, I completely agree. The Bolter thing is highly unfortunate. I don't want to be too galaxy brain and try to suggest that he shouldn't have been playing against Bayern, but at the same time,
yeah,
I mean, I understand that you have to try to win these games, but yeah, the fact that he's on 4 yellow cards going into a match that you think is almost certainly not going to go your way, I think there's an argument to be made that he should have been on the bench in that game. But I'm sure there's a million scenarios in which that's the wrong decision. But anyway, like I said, the Frankfurt game is the game that I think we have to target to win. And now we're going to be without arguably our best player of the season in that fixture. And, somebody who's, been able to prove this year that he can affect things on the goal scoring sheet. And that's without, a striker centrally who's attracting attention away from him. You know what I mean? If this was, another game, another season in the Bundesliga, where we were in a more normal situation, let's say we were a mid-table team or even fighting for Europe, and we had a normal striker. If you had the kind of production that Bolter's had this season, ultimately, out of somebody on your left wing, you'd be pretty happy with that.
Yeah,
10 plus goals, whatever. I mean, that's not a bad contribution from a player in that kind of a role. So, yeah, highly unfortunate that he's not going to be available for Frankfurt. It's going to have to be a next man up situation. Our depth isn't great, but we'll see what happens. Maybe Tim Skarka comes in, maybe somebody else, and we're able to play a big role.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We're going to need somebody to come up and do that. Something you had said that triggered a thought. Now I lost it, but probably wasn't important anyway. and in the grand scheme of things, yeah, we got to give ourselves a fighting chance, and we want to be at least in the 16th spot. We'd rather be out of the bottom 3, but if you had to pick one of those, if you had to do one, you'd do the 16th spot right over nothing. But we'll see. It's a long way to go. It's a must-win game, and I think sometimes I don't remember what I was gonna say. We were talking about sitting out Bolter. At times, every now and then you hear somebody saying, "Oh, that manager is playing 3D chess." This is an occasion where you want Bryce to play 3D chess, where he's gonna say, "Oh, I'm thinking ahead here. Bench Bolter, bring somebody else in, and then you have him available for Frankfurt." But hey, like I said, sometimes you just got to go for the win. Realistically, trying to beat Bayern, it was not going to happen, and so you have to think Frankfurt's probably the game that's more likely, not necessarily likely, but more likely than Bayern, and so you got to kind of don't count your chickens before they hatch. So we didn't do that. We got to live with that, and we'll see what happens. Hey, maybe CD Sane makes it a start and he gets going for us. I doubt it. But yeah, it's the crazy thing about the Bundesliga this year. It's very, very level this year, right? You got the top teams are obviously the top 2 teams are within a point of each other, but there's Union Berlin, Freiburg, Wolfsburg, Leverkusen, and Frankfurt all about challenging for Champions League / Europa League spots. And then at the bottom, you got outside of Hertha Berlin, you got between Stuttgart, Schalke, Bochum, Hoffenheim, Augsburg, and Werder Bremen. They're all within 6 points. It's ridiculously tight this year, top to bottom. And anything can happen these last 2 weeks. We have the most difficult schedule, I think, of all the bottom 6. And so if we want to stay up, a miracle is going to have to happen, honestly, and we'll see what happens. And I'm not looking forward to next year. Well, I am looking forward to next year if we stay up, but then if we go to Zweite Liga, I'm not looking forward to that. So we'll see. Yeah, man, it's difficult. Like you said, someone's going to step up in Bulter's place. Karaman hasn't really shown me anything this year. Had like one or two good games. I mean, the whole team just looked from, so on our Discord channel, someone was showing the ratings of the game between Bayern and Schalke, rating them 1 to 6, 6 being the worst, 1 being the best. All of our players are 5 and 6s, right? They were bad. Schwoloff was bad. The defenders were terrible. Midfielders were non-existent. I mean, there's nothing good to say about that game other than Dortmund didn't win the title. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, I agree. But I mean, look, as I kind of mentioned off the top, look at it this way: you have somebody like Kaminsky, you have Yoshida, and you have Sepp Vandenberg, who, although much rangier and more youthful and energetic, and who also has played well since returning. This is still like his third game in the past
6 months.
6 months, you know what I mean, or something like that. And and he has to go up against Bayern.
Yeah,
so I'm not really holding that against him, but yeah, all of them. I mean, once again, I think Kaminsky in possession does some nice things sometimes. His ability to to move the ball around, I think, is legitimately useful even at a Bundesliga level to some extent for a team like Schalke. But yeah, when you have whether it's Serge Gnabry, Leroy Sané, running at you, later in the game, Musiala at times, it's just we can't cope with that. Yeah, it's funny that Goretzka wasn't playing late or anything like that. But I'm saying that's that he was in there. If he would be in there, it's kind of probably to control the game a little bit more and provide some balance, I think. And they were just no, it's gonna be Musiala and it's gonna be all the, you know what I mean? I think that was the right approach in this game. Obviously, is when you have that big of an athletic advantage, that only puts us in worse situations where then their technical advantage can also shine through even more, in their decision making and their everything, because they have us on skates at certain points. So yeah, like I said earlier, it's exactly what I expected in this match. It's not fair to have Kingsley Coman, Cancelo on the left hand side going up against Yoshida at 35 or whatever his age is at this point. I forget. It's not a good combination. And Schwolow, I don't know. Right before the Kimmich penalty, he was smacking his hands together to get hyped up. And the second I saw that, I'm like, well, Kimmich's going to score that now. I mean,
was trying to scare him? Was trying to scare him? Maybe, I don't know.
But I was like, oh, Schwolow's mildly. Maybe he was trying to hype himself up. I don't know. But when I saw him doing that, I was like, this is just okay.
That's the one thing I do want to talk about in the game is that Bayern are good enough. They're good enough, and they don't need help from the referees. I think this is me personally. I think referee called a soft penalty there. Did Brunner touch him? Whoever the hell it was, the player, Bayern's player, in the face? Yes. Was it a foul? No. I mean, he tried to get in the way, tried to put his arm to get ahead of him, and the guy goes down like a freaking ton of bricks. I thought that was a weak penalty. Bayern don't need any help to beat us. They can score 6 goals without the referee's help. I mean, not that we were gonna win that game at all. It probably would have ended up 6-0 anyway. But don't call soft penalties against us. It's already hard enough as it is for us.
I think the argument is would that have been a foul if it took place sort of in the middle of the pitch? And if so, then it should also be a foul in the box, even if it results in a penalty to some extent. My thing is, if you look, I couldn't even tell by the replay, but it almost looked like he kind of went into his shoulder first, then slid up into his face more than making direct face contact. So I think for him to fall down completely in the way he did was a little bit dramatic. I don't think he was really hurt at all, but because of his facial contact, he went down. If he actually did get poked in the eye or something and was injured by that, then obviously I retract that. But yeah, I can understand. It's the kind of thing that you can't do when you're playing Bayern if you want to have a chance of getting a result against them. They're going to beat you anyway. You can't give them moments like that.
And as we always say, don't put yourself in that situation where the referee has to get involved, right?
We said that last week or the week before.
Every week.
Yeah, the Mainz game, right? Yeah, it's
yeah.
Is that questionable? Is that soft? Yeah. Do I feel bad for Mainz fans? Don't give the VAR, or the ref the excuse to step in and have to make that decision. Be smarter with where you put your hands. It's that simple.
You mentioned Stuttgart's last 2 games, Bochum's last 2 games against Hertha and Leverkusen. Say what you want to say about that. Look at Hoffenheim's last 2 games. You mentioned Stuttgart already. They also play Union Berlin, so that's a difficult game because their team trying to get the Champions League spot there. And if you just want to play devil's advocate, not that it matters, but Augsburg at this point, their last 2 games are against Dortmund and Gladbach. So hey, maybe they have the worst 2 games left. I don't know. We'll see. But the teams that's in and around us.
I mean, look, the best scenario for us is we grab 3 points against Frankfurt. Hoffenheim loses to Union Berlin. As you said, Union Berlin still has something to play for, down to the end here. And then Stuttgart finds a way to get a result against them at the end of the week. In that situation, we'd stay ahead of Stuttgart, and we'd jump Hoffenheim, and be back into actual definitive safety positions. So there's one possible scenario to pray for if you're so inclined. But endless possibilities here at the end, as we said earlier, all the way up to. I mean, I'm not saying that we're really within touching distance of Werder Bremen, like realistically, but
No.
5 points all the way up to 12th right now from where we stand. So very close. A lot of teams involved.
So we'll see. I mean, obviously the game against Frankfurt's coming up. They're in 8th position. It's not. I wish they had a little bit less points because they have nothing to play for, but they still are within arm's reach of Europa League. Leverkusen's 3 points ahead of them, and then Wolfsburg, who hold that last spot, are also on 49 points. So I mean, technically they get a win or maybe 2 wins here at the end of the season. They're in a really good position. So they're gonna be playing for everything, right? Them and Leipzig. So it's not gonna be easy by any stretch. They obviously have some really good players. Obviously was a Kolomoani lead best assist man in the league this year. One of the stars of the league this year. They got some talent on Frankfurt. There's no doubt about it, and it's at home for us. Last game for us at home. We're gonna need that. We're gonna need that 12th man, 13th man.
That's what I mean. Like that's what I'm saying. Is like this entire thing feels like it's set up for Frankfurt to be the decisive match.
Yes.
You would expect, hopefully, Salazar to be a huge presence in that game. We're gonna need that X factor.
Yeah, he's gonna need to step up, I think.
Yeah,
Skarka would be nice. I mean, anybody outside of that, but someone like a Drexler and a Salazar are gonna have to step up. I mean, why not play both of them to start the game at this point? But yeah, that has to be that game we have to focus on. All chips on here. If someone else is on 4 yellow, the hell, play with them, play them now because
Yeah. Also, if there's a moment for us to get like a vintage Thomas Ouian performance, a la his best of last season, it would be this weekend against Frankfurt. If we could find that would be useful.
Yeah.
Fortunately, not too many other absences or injuries outside of just Jens and who we were just talking about, whose name is escaping me now.
Is that Vandenberg?
Bulter. Sorry,
Bulter. Yeah.
Bulter. And then also Ralph Fährmann back in training. Currently, is he back for the Frankfurt game? Do we want to throw him into the Frankfurt game after being away from injury? I think you probably do, unless you really want Schwolow has had like a run of games. Fährmann's coming off injury and isn't fresh. Don't throw him in there in a must-win game. That's a decision to make. But if Fährmann's healthy, it's going to be awfully tempting, my friend. Schwolow's not getting you anything.
That's what if it's up to me, a healthy Fährmann starts no matter what over Schwolow. It just night and day, it seems like. And I didn't think I'd be saying this, 6-12 months ago, but we are saying this, and Fährmann's kind of earned that spot now. This is ultimately up to Thomas Reis, right? And see how he's healing in practice. But I think if he's anywhere near 100%, you got to play him. I mean, this, like you said, like we said, this is a must-win game. You throw all your chips in there and hope for the best. I mean, worst case scenario, he gets hurt in the game and you bring a Schwolow off, right? But you got to have your best players out there no matter what. I see Diggler saying, who's going to score for us? That's the $1 million question. We don't know, but someone needs to step up. And it's got to be probably 2 or 3 guys to step up.
Nice be Fry to bag another one. I think only like 1 goal for us so far, maybe 2.
Yeah.
Terada, come on, man. This is it for you in the Bundesliga.
Crawl, this could be your swan song here. Crawl,
Yeah, or Tom Kraus, your strong song with Schalke in front of the home crowd. Could be the last time in his career that he plays in a royal blue kit at the Veltins Arena
in the Bundesliga.
We're not keeping him if we go down. I mean, there's no way that's happening.
No, I'm saying we won't be back in the Bundesliga for a while. He's going to stay in the Bundesliga.
Yeah. But I mean, if we don't stay up, there is
a
0% chance that he stays with us, and he's probably never playing for Schalke again. So I mean, this is maybe his last game in a Schalke kit at the Veltins Arena. He's going to be motivated. No one needs any extra motivation. They're all professionals. They understand the situation, better than we do. So yeah, I don't know. It's just we need some magic. I think today, potentially, or maybe yesterday, was the 1-year anniversary of that midfield shot from Salazar.
That was today, I think. It was today.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
yeah.
I mean, those are the kind of vibes we need. I think heading into the Frankfurt game.
We
need some magic. So
any kind of magic.
Yeah. Hopefully the team can provide it.
Oh my goodness. This is going to be obviously a short podcast, because we don't really want to talk about the damn Bayern game and the result. We kind of knew it was going to happen, like you said. But the main thing, we talked relegation already. It's we control our own destiny to an extent. I mean, we show up against Frankfurt, we get a win against Frankfurt, then that's a little bit easier for us as opposed to a loss. And then we're just like, all right, let's start pitching our ticket to the Zweite Liga, because Leipzig game is probably gonna be a similar result to Bayern. I would imagine at this point. So we'll see. Game is on Saturday, 9:30 my time, 8:30 Chicagoland time. All to play for here. This is the must win. We've been saying must win all season long. This is the must win right here. It absolutely is. Can't say it enough, I guess. And I don't know, man. Anything else you want to chat about for Schalke or anything?
Kind of off topic to what we were just talking about a second ago, but since this is a short podcast and we have time, there's a comment from Aaron via Facebook where he's just saying, I don't understand when people see in Yoshida, he's old, he's awful, bad signing. I mean, first of all, those were pretty much your words exactly when we picked him up, Richard, because you've seen him at Southampton, in the past, another team you've seen. But I guess what I would say is, like, what do we see in him? We see in him is that he's available and willing to play for Schalke. This is a team that had, once again, we lost Itakura in the offseason. Malik Chow to AC Milan, no longer in the picture. We basically retained Kaminsky from our sort of mainstays last season, and that's it. We have a limited budget moving into the Bundesliga. This is a guy that at least has experience playing in top flights across Europe, whether it's the Premier League or, in Serie A. So I think it made sense to some extent, obviously, to bring in a wise old head to pair with some of the more youthful and experienced players and try to get some sort of synergy there and some sort of combination that results in it. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I think a game against Bayern is not the best time to judge him once again. Yep. I mean, at this point in his career, playing with the people he's playing around, having to try to, handle the attack that is Bayern Munich is, I think, really not a fair ask of him at this point. So I'm not blaming him specifically for that loss, even though, yes, he did make a number of mistakes and was involved in a lot of the goals.
100%. By the way, this is a complete happenstance where I wear a Rammstein shirt to a German podcast, Schalke podcast. So just a fortunate accident there for me. But I probably am outside of Aaron here. Yoshida's biggest critic when we signed him. I was like, what the hell are we doing? Like I said, I've seen him for the last decade. I know exactly what the splitter brings. At his worst, it's what we saw at Bayern, right? Back pass to the goalie, only 5 feet away, that the goalie was 400 yards away, and you give a breakaway to Serge Gnabry. But at his best, what we've seen is that he's been a calming influence in the back. Whoever he's been paired with, early part of the season, and eventually with Jens, that he's been the mature one, the guy who can read the game very well. He doesn't have to do too much, and maybe that's what his struggle was early on, was that he tried to do too much. And so he just played within his game, his capabilities. And then we saw a decent defender, and he was helping out us a lot. I think it was a big reason of the ups that we had. You have to attribute Yoshida's defensive capabilities and play to doing well defensively. And obviously,
with Jens, we were doing quite well with that pairing for a bit. Yeah. By far our best defensive pair in the season. But like I said, Yoshida is on the older side. He's never been fast. He was a little bit quicker when he was at Southampton back in the day, but he still has the reading of the game. He's still, the captain of the Blue Samurai. Again, you're only as good as the people around you. Like Simon Terota, 30 goals last year. What, 3 goals this year, 4 goals this year? Bulter's the only one who's been like kind of level between the two leagues. But most of our guys dropped off, and like for the whole team, you could say this about any player on the team, is like, if you don't have the support, you're not going to do well. It's plain and simple, right? And so we haven't really had the help defensively. Like Brunner's been okay for the most part of the season. We really had no left back for a majority of the season because it rotated between 3-4 guys. Center backs rotating, which was unexpected.
Yeah.
Because Ouyam is one of the few people that we retained from that title-winning side last year that we actually felt good about making the transition to the Bundesliga, and that has not worked out at all, unfortunately.
That's got to be one of the disappointments of the season, though. I mean, like, that's one of the we thought maybe, what was it, Salazar, I think, and Oyan would be the 2 guys we wouldn't have to worry about this year. And Salazar has been up and down, but Oyan has been non-existent this year for whatever reason. Yes, he's been injured, but that's been the biggest disappointment because we thought for sure our left back is locked up, and he's played maybe like a handful of games, if that. That mostly come from substitution roles, and it's really been an 18-year-old kid, Uranan, Matriciani, stepping up and playing off his position. And maybe a couple other guys sprinkled here and there. Tobias Moore, right? That seems like ages ago that he played with us. But yeah, it's just things we thought were sure bets coming into the season have not panned out whatsoever. Tarota is another one, right? We thought he's going to give us at least 10 goals this year, and we didn't see that.
Well, I mean, yeah, we were optimistic.
Fair enough.
I don't know. Maybe that was a false hope potentially, but
anyway. even though the striker rate, like Bulter, who averages 10 goals a year in the Bundesliga, even under Rice, and again this year doesn't get the service, doesn't score any goals. He was like 1 goal this year, maybe 2.
To be fair, he's been in the super sub role a lot. But I understand the point you're making. There's people that have had some sort of level of production, and I mean, the worse your teammates are, the worse sort of the situation around you, the more it's going to affect your ability to produce. It's not just about like what is your standard. Go out and do the standard. Obviously, context is very important.
Yeah, exactly. You have the guy like Haaland who plays on a shitty team, like last year and could barely get 30 goals. This year he's getting 40 goals, in a good team. So things happen, right? When you get a good support. All right, yeah, that's good. Anything else you want to chat about since we got?
No, that's all for me. We just got to enjoy the last, potentially few days before we're maybe not in the Bundesliga anymore. Enjoy it while we're a Bundesliga team. Have fun the last couple weeks of the season. Don't take it for granted is all I'm saying.
Yeah, that is the biggest takeaway, I think, because this, no matter what the result happens this weekend in the must-win game, you got to kind of enjoy it and embrace the little things, and you never know when it might be your last chance for a while in the top league. So don't take anything for granted, and enjoy the moments while we got it. So all we can do. So we got 5 days till next game. Yeah, man. Think positivity, I guess. Find another goal scorer. That's what we got to do. So I'm open to whoever. I'm not available.
What's Kazuki up to these days?
Yeah. What is that? What is he up to, man?
Injury, man.
I forgot about him. It happened so long ago.
Yeah.
God.
Comment of the night, Sky.
Haley's comment there. Comes and goes, right? Most here for 85 years. So, all right, Jack. Anything you want to plug in before we get out of here before the half-hour mark? Which is awesome.
Nah, that's all for me.
Yeah, no, that's also for me. Gerds in the house says, stay optimistic. Glück auf indeed. I got nothing to plug as well. But let's keep it short and sweet. Get out of here before the half-hour mark. And if you want to follow us, make sure our tags are right here, or both our handles. But follow us at Schalke America, everywhere and anywhere on social media. And make sure if you haven't done so yet, follow us on YouTube. Like the video, would be much appreciated. So for Jack, well, let me find the outro video first. For Jack, for myself, we'll catch you on the next Victory Monday podcast next week, hopefully. We'll catch you soon. Glück auf.